Welcome to Positive Energy with Crystals. My name's Hillary, and today we're talking about crystal shapes. This is part of my series where we learn about crystal grids and working with crystal grids again. Here is a crystal grid my husband made with, it's on a tile, it's laser engraved on a tile with the Flower of Life pattern. You can get that on my Etsy store. There's a link in the description for that. So today we're talking about crystal shapes to use in crystal grids. First, let me say you do not have to use a certain crystal shape. If you don't have a certain shape, then that's fine. If you don't have, let's say you only have tumbled stones and you want, you don't have to get, you don't have to buy a tower or whatever just to put in the center. A tumbled is perfectly fine. You don't have to, but you can. There are also lots more shapes than what I'm going to talk about in this video. Like angels and mushrooms and animals and all sorts of shapes. So just because I don't talk about that shape in the video doesn't mean you can't use it. Like my angel here. I think the only two actual carved shapes, I've got an angel, and then my husband has a excuse me, still getting over being sick. My husband has a unicorn. So they mean different things for us. So if I'm doing, say, like ancestral work, I can use my little angel here, my Angelite angel, and put it in the center of my crystal grid to do some ancestral work or to work with a specific spirit or whatever. That's how you would use a carved. My husband's unicorn, the reason my husband has a unicorn is we always joke that when he's looking like a car, or a truck or something, he usually wants a specific model, make, year, whatever, and it's usually one that's hard to find. So we always joke that he's always searching for unicorns. And so when he's doing manifestation work, he uses his unicorn to find those unicorns. So that's kind of how you would use a carved piece. So like I said, there are a lot more shapes that I'm not going to cover in here. Doesn't mean you can't use them. So let's start with a raw piece. I don't have much raw pieces, and it's just because I don't really work with raw crystals. I like the tumbled better. So raw has a strong, pure energy, but it's a little sporadic. But you can use them, and there's a lot of people that prefer raw crystals. When I work with black tourmaline, I prefer raw. So there's also clusters. This is the only cluster I have that's easy to get to. My other ones are packed. But like the raw, it's also it's not used very often in a grid, but it's similar to the raw, where it's got the sporadic raw energy. And one of the reasons they're not really used in crystal grids very often, they are, and usually as a centerpiece, is because they've got all these points, and a dog here, sorry. They've got all these points that can send energy just in crazy directions. And usually in a crystal grid, you're wanting to direct your energy in certain directions. They are used, especially like a little one like this, but it's rare. So tumbled stones are very popular, and they're a more gentle, even energy, and they're kind of the most common because that's pretty much everybody has tumbled crystals. They're my they're my preference. So, let's see. Spheres are another good one. They are very even energy from all around. Um, with spheres, you got to be careful because they roll. These littler ones, not so much. But if you've got a big one, it's a good idea to have a stand, or you're going to need a stand. They, once again, they're not as popular, but I think spheres in general, people don't really work with spheres very much. But I like these little ones. I don't have any big ones just because I've never had a place where I could feel safe about a sphere sitting. Let's go. Another popular one are towers, generators, and pyramids. I don't have any pyramids, but they're this little squatty, like Egyptian pyramid. So these are towers, and then this clear quartz piece is a generator. And I got another generator that's pretty much the same thing, just a little taller. So a pyramid, or I mean a tower, you can kind of see with this one, it's wider at the bottom and it gets smaller at top. That's a tower. A generator, you can see it's pretty much the same width from bottom all the way up to the point. So it's this is called a generator. This is called a tower. Towers, generators, and pyramids all kind of work the same. They're usually used as the center piece, and they generate energy. They can bring it into the crystal grid, depending on what your crystal grid is set up for. They can bring it in. They can make it come out. Usually, your energy, you're taking the energy and coming out of the crystal grid. And towers, generators, and pyramids are probably the most common center crystal. We'll get into layouts and stuff later, but that kind of gives you an explanation of why those are used in the center. Wands, points, and double terminated. I thought I had this one kind of, I guess, is sort of double terminated. Not really, though. Double terminated is where you've got a point on each end where energy comes in and goes out. This is also considered a wand, even though it doesn't have points, but it kind of works the same. It just, with a point, you can direct the energy more. With the flat side, you're not. But, so a wand is usually a longer piece like this, and then points are usually shorter pieces. And you can lay them and direct your energy in a crystal grid. Put them on the lines and stuff. So that's how those are worked. They don't really, you're not directing it out. You're usually wanting to, like if you had your generator there, you're pointing the energy from the rest in and out. Another thing is when we get to activating, a wand or a point is used to activate your crystal grid too. But we've got a ways before we're ready to talk about that. Let's see, hearts. Hearts are really popular in love workings, including self-love, sending love somewhere else, and grief. So hearts are really popular too. And eggs. I only have this one egg. They're used for fertility, healing, balance, stability, and new beginnings. Skulls, I don't have any skulls, but they're used a lot in crystal grids. I honestly don't know exactly. I know some people use them for ancestral work. But that's all I know. I've never really gotten into skulls. They're cool, but I don't have any. A cube, which, would be like that. I don't have any cubes, but they're used a lot for grounding. This would probably be a really good piece for grounding too. Let's see, chips. I got a lot of chips here, but I'm not going to pour them out. I'm going to leave them in their little bags. When I first was working with crystal grids, I used a lot of chips because they're cheap, and you can fill in a line. The problem I had with them is if you accidentally bump your crystal grid, they scatter really easy. A heavier stone is going to be harder when you bump it than a chip, that little light chip that when you bump it, it's going to scatter. A big tumbled piece isn't going to scatter as easy. So what else? And pendulums. Now pendulums, you're not usually going to leave them on your crystal grid. You're usually going to do work over them. Hang them above and do workings. I've got these two. I've got the clear quartz and then the Kimbaba jasper. So you're usually going to hold them over your crystal grid and do workings over it. Very rarely are you going to put it on your crystal grid, because that's not what pendulums are used for. They're used asking questions and doing workings, not just sitting there. But they can be if you really need that certain, like that's the only piece of Kimbaba jasper I have. So if I really, really needed a piece of Kimbaba jasper on my crystal grid, I could use my pendulum. So those are the kind of basic shapes for a crystal grid. Like I said before, there's other shapes, tons of carved shapes from animals to just whatever. These are kind of for one, they're the ones I have, but they're also kind of the more popular shapes. Like I said before too, you don't have to, just because I say a generator, a tower, or a pyramid is a good piece to have in the center, doesn't mean you have to go out and buy one. If you've got a tumbled piece, it's perfectly fine in the center. So if you have any questions about shapes, crystal shapes, put those in the comments. If you have any other questions about crystal grids, be sure to put those in no matter when. Like I said in my other crystal grid video, I want to make sure that we all get the answers we need for working with crystal grids. I'm excited about doing this again, and I want to make sure everything gets covered. The next video I think will be about the grid shapes themselves. So I'll show you a bunch of shapes and explain kind of what they're used for. So be sure to put your questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.